The views expressed on our programs are not necessarily those of WVON, Midway Broadcasting Corporation, or our participating sponsors.
From the Xfinity Studios at WVON, we are the talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Now you official now, but you got a soul to say. I just been cooking that note. I'm about to drop in the few. Think if I call it the great, the people gon' call it the truth.
All right, y'all. We here. We back. It's WVON 1690 AM, the talk of Chicago. You're listening to Straight Words. This is Straight Words Media. Brother Nabbar Richard Muhammad, Brother B.J. Murphy. I'm not in the studio, but the Holy Spirit is there. Brother Nabbar, how you doing today, brother?
Hey, assalamu alaikum, Brother B.J. How you doing, man?
Walaikum salam. And you can tell I'm hyped, brother. I'm not there with you, but I'm holding you in my arms. From Charlotte tonight.
Well, we embracing all that spirit, man, and the brilliance that you bring to this endeavor, baby boy. So we good.
Yes, sir. We good, brother. We got a powerful show tonight. Powerful, provocative guest coming up. This brother's one of the foremost scholars on the subject of the will, and he's going to give us the analysis of the will and this subject about the reality of the mother plane is what we want to talk about tonight. So, Brother Nabbar, I know when you talked to him, he was very excited about being on WVON tonight, Brother Nabbar.
Yeah, absolutely. And brothers and sisters, we want you to understand the terminology that we use. We will be talking about what the U.S. government and the high-level sources call, they used to call them UFOs. They now call them UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomenon, and I think they also call them unidentified analogous phenomenon. So this is what we're talking about. This was the subject, and our guest tonight is Brother Ilya Rashad Muhammad, who has written books on this subject, lectured on this subject, and he really has an incredible documentary that he's working on, and we'll get into that as well. But you know, they recently had, a few days ago, there were hearings that were held by a group that NASA has formed to look into these things. So brothers and sisters, we have to pay attention and not be those who are ignorant and look at when a man gives you divine truths. You are going, if you live long enough, you are going to see those truths come to reality in your face.
Right.
So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Brother Ilya is the expert, so he will certainly be getting into this. In the 1930s, started talking about the mother plane or the mother wheel, right?
Right.
And baby planes. So you're talking about a humanly built planet. This is a message to the black man, as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad described it, right?
Yes, sir.
A humanly built planet built for the purpose of destroying this present world, and it's intimately tied to black people going free. Now,
yes,
you don't
sir.
believe that? Okay. You better go back 2-3 years ago, and you better look at that 60 Minutes report. You better go back last week, a few days ago, and look at the report from this hearing that included a NASA task force. You better go ahead and go back to, I believe, last year when the Department of Defense announced that it has a task force. And just 2-3 years ago, it was revealed that they have been studying these crafts for years. So let me see, Deontay, if I hit this button right here, can I get Cliff? You got me? Thank you, sir. How you doing? Can we go to Cliff? Cliff?
Brother Stick, assalamu alaikum, brother. Thank you so much, man. I'm so thankful, bro, that you finally responded to this, because this is critical. And, brother, you are absolutely right. Even NASA, at this point, just recently, is admitting that this exists. And so The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan knows all about this. And what we must do, and I'm trying to put out this disclaimer, we as black people, man, must trust. I don't give a damn, excuse my expression, if you're a Christian, if you're a Republican or Democrat, we need to put our complete faith in the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan because he is the Jesus to us as the Jesus or the Pope to white people. We need to obey and listen to the Honorable Minister Farrakhan because the truth is coming. We ain't seen nothing yet what these devils have in store for us as a people. And we're trying to survive, and we have the blueprint right in front of us. So thank you so much, brother. Proceed, and now listen. This is critical, and thank you for having this program.
Well, Cliff, this one is for you because, you know, we've only been on the air, I think maybe 4 weeks. This may be our 5th week, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, sir. It's our 5th week. Yes, sir.
And Cliff, you've been calling for this, right? So I told you
sir.
that we would get them in. So we got them in. But this is going to be a wonderful night. We're going to keep taking callers. Brother Ilya Rashad is going to be calling
Thank you, brother.
in. Thank you, Cliff. Appreciate you. And brothers and sisters, look, to support our programming tonight, we paying for this time. Understand that? No, you didn't hear what I said. We are paying good American dollars for this. We're paying good American dollars to be on the air.
That's right.
We're paying good
That's right.
American dollars to be on the air. So you want to help us because you're not going to get, oh, here's Brother Ilya. We're going to patch him in. Let's get Brother Ilya in, please. But I'm going to finish my little announcement. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Ilya. Rashad Muhammad.
Wa alaikum salam. How's it going?
Man, it's going great now that we have this. We had to start the show on in the house now. So we got Brother BJ is also in. Brother BJ, you can greet Brother Ilya. I'm going to make my little announcement, then we'll get in.
Wa alaikum salam,
Brother Ilya.
Brother,
My twin, this is my twin, right? When you see a picture of me, you see a picture of Brother Ilya. We look just alike, man.
Well, he's a pretty handsome brother now.
That's what I know. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
And,
I like to believe that.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Well,
it's great to have you on the show, brother. I know you got some fascinating information, but Brother Naba is going to continue to tell everybody how they can support this program of this fascinating information we're about to drop on everybody in Chicago and around the world.
So thank you, Brother BJ. So look, as I was saying, brothers and sisters, this is not public access radio. This is commercial time that we purchase that we have to pay for every week. So a couple things. I want you to call in at 773-591-1690. That's 773-591-1690. That's number one. Number two, support the show. And if you like what you hear and listen in, you can go Cash App if you have Cash App. Cash App is $ straight words, WORDS. Cash App is $ straight words. If you're using Zelle, 312-480-9775. If you're using Zelle, 312-480-9775. You can also text that number if you like to sponsor, or if you like to be a partner, or if you like to have some advertising. We take it. We ain't taking no liquor, no lottery now. You know we ain't doing no liquor, no lottery. Don't y'all start that.
That's right.
And no pig feet. You know we ain't doing that over here. Lastly, if you want to go PayPal, straight words and the number 4 at gmail.com. So that's straight words, STRAIGHTWORDS and the number 4 at gmail.com. Brother Ilya, welcome to the show. Welcome. I want to kind of start the conversation, but it can go many different ways. I wanted to kind of start with some of the latest news. There were some reports today and a few days ago, two things. There was a hearing by a NASA task force, NASA, that's the official space agency of the United States of America.
Right.
Okay, that's
right.
$1 billion budget. The Apollo rockets landing on the moon, Mars landing, all that kind of stuff. That's them people right there. Hidden Figures, where the sisters help them figure out how to get there and get back from the moon. That's what you're talking about. The real NASA, right? And So that, Brother Ilya, we can kind of start there. But then there was a young man who came out as a whistleblower the last couple days saying, once again, that the government, even though it's starting to give up information, has hid for many, many years the truth. So, Brother Ilya, you want to start with NASA or where you want to start from?
Man, we can just pick up right where you started us off, Brother Naba.
Okay.
First of all, let me just say that I'm very honored and excited to be able to share the airwaves with you, brothers, especially to talk about a subject matter that gets very little attention on most mainstream airwaves. In fact, this subject matter of what they call UFOs and now UAP, it gets very little attention even on most alternative media airwaves. So I'm honored that we can talk about this and bring some enlightenment to a subject matter that has been deliberately shrouded in mystery. As you stated, NASA has recently had a public hearing where NASA's research team is discussing and sharing with the public their interest in the UFO phenomena, or as they call it, UAP, which a year ago stood for unidentified aerial phenomena, but as of recent now, UAP stands for unidentified anomalous phenomena. So these planes, these mostly disc-shaped objects that we in the Nation of Islam have been talking about since the 1930s, have proven to be somewhat of a problematic and anomalous figure to the American military and to militaries of the world, because these disc-shaped, wheel-shaped craft have been known to exhibit, I'm talking about far superior technological capabilities and maneuverability. These wheels, as we call them in the Nation of Islam, and just so as a side note, they've never been unidentified to us. They've always been identified. In fact, they've been identified and answered before the public even had questions about them. So these objects, or wheels as we call them, have literally captured the attention of governments and militaries around the world because of their awesome, superior capabilities that exceed far beyond anything the scientists of this world could even imagine. And so the root of this topic, the root of this phenomena ultimately leads us to the Nation of Islam. For it was the Nation of Islam, some call us the Black Muslims, who in the early 1930s were the first proponents, and to this day remain the only proponents who give definitive details and answers to this phenomena that they call the UFO phenomena. So I said all of that to say that NASA recently held their research team held a public forum just showing that they are interested in these craft and that they have been studying them behind the scenes since NASA has been in existence. So I'm happy to be on this show because as a student of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, as a student of the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I can honestly say that we have the answers to this phenomena that the world has been enamored by.
You know, Brother Ilya, I wanted to go to a definition for the word anomalous, which basically means, brothers and sisters, deviating from that which is the standard or the norm. And I want to read something. This is from April 19th, the U.S. Department of Defense. Did you hear what I said?
Yes, sir.
The Department of Defense working to better understand, resolve anomalous phenomena. So we're talking about these crafts that have been seen all over the country, but not only that, they've in particular been seen around nuclear facilities. They've been seen around Army and military bases. They've been seen and chased by jets, and Brother Ilya will get into that. I want to read one thing. This is what was said by Sean M. Kirkpatrick, director of the All Domain. This is the Defense Department's office, set up in last July, right? Mm-hmm. The All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office. And again, this term UAP, Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon, aka UFOs. This is what Mr. Kirkpatrick, who is the director of this Defense Department office, this is what he said, testifying April 19th before the Senate Armed Services Committee's subcommittee on emerging threats and capabilities. Does that sound like Santa Claus to you, brothers and sisters?
Wow.
I ain't never seen a task force set up to study Santa and Rudolph and the reindeers, right? But Mr. Kirkpatrick, who was testifying at the Senate Armed Services Committee subcommittee on emerging threats and capabilities, this is April 19th, 2023, this year. This is something that he said. UAP, Unidentified Aerial Phenomena, or AKA UFOs, are anything in space, in the air, on land, in the sea, or under the sea that can't be identified and might pose a threat to U.S. military installations or operations. So somebody's taking this thing pretty serious. So, Brother Ilya, let's back up a minute. Let's maybe start from the beginning in terms of why we call these things the wheel. The biblical prophecy of Ezekiel's wheel, and then what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad started teaching in the 1930s, and who did he get it from?
Excellent. Well, for starters, we in the Nation of Islam use the terminology of wheels when describing these objects, these craft, these planes that others call UFOs. We also may refer to them as baby planes, which come from the much larger, huge mother plane or mother wheel. And this terminology, as you stated, stems from biblical language, most notably in the book of Ezekiel, wherein prophecies are given of God's coming and his accompaniment upon a huge aerial flying wheel type object that is flanked by other flying wheels. And while this prophecy and these prophecies have baffled theologians and scholars for over a millennia, we, as followers of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, recognize clearly that these crafts are the direct fulfillment of these prophecies that all of the Judeo-Christian believers have been anticipating. And it is quite strange that although all of the scriptures of the sacred texts of the major faith traditions, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, all of the scriptures of these faith traditions point to a day and time when God, the Most High, would be present, would be in a human or at least a humanly form, and would be operating from some type of heavenly vessel that flies in the sky that is also used as some sort of a weapon or military warship of God.
Right.
Again, all of the scriptures give us some type of description in that regard. But it's quite ironic that the Nation of Islam remains the most distinguished in being the only ones who speak of a God in those exact terms, and have been the only ones speaking of God in those exact terms since the 1930s. So these wheels are literally the fulfillment of the prophecies that God and the prophets had been pointing to for thousands of years. So now that these crafts are evident, now that the Nation of Islam introduced this reality in the early 1930s, now that the nation, who had been mocked and ridiculed for several decades because of this exact teaching, now that everything that we have been teaching is evident in the real world, now it seems that the scholars and leaders and the scientists and all of those, even the critics, pretend as though this has nothing to do with the Nation of Islam. I say this is hypocritical, and it is really racist when you want to get to the root of it, but it is actually ignorant, because the world seems to be baffled and curious, to say the very least, as to what these crafts and these anomalous objects are, but they refuse to come to those of us who literally can answer this truth.
That's right.
And when we say that we can answer this truth, we are not talking in strictly religious terms where we're going to give you some interpretation. No, we're talking about we can answer this in the most real world pragmatic terms, because there is historical evidence. There is scientific evidence that proves that the Nation of Islam was the first and only to give definitive details of this phenomena. And the reason it is such a secret, it is because to admit that these planes exist as they do is to admit and acknowledge that Elijah Muhammad and Louis Farrakhan have been right and exact this entire time.
Come on.
And I don't think anybody wants to do that. And if they are right, and they are, it proves that Elijah Muhammad had to have met the supreme being, God in person.
Woo! You dropped it right there. Brother Ilya Rashad Muhammad is on Straight Words tonight on WVON 1690, the Talk of Chicago. Brother Nabab Muhammad, Brother B.J. Murphy here. Brother Ilya Rashad Muhammad is one of the foremost scholars on the subject that you just heard them talk about, on the wheel and the reality of the mother plane. And what makes Minister Farrakhan so bold and such a magnificent human being, because he told the world without fear, without shame or fear of being ridiculed, that he's backed by the power that is on the wheel. Describe the dimensions of the wheel so everybody, because I've actually had a friend, Brother Ilya, who actually had seen it in person. And there's some people out there that actually have seen the wheel. Let's describe the dimensions of it for everybody to kind of put it in your mind.
Yes. As you stated, Minister Farrakhan is undoubtedly perhaps the boldest voice of freedom that we have on the planet today. And that boldness did not come out of a vacuum. Rather, his unique boldness, where he challenges the rulers and kings and so-called authorities of the world. Here's an unarmed black man who has no arms. Those of us who follow him do not carry or possess arms or carnal weapons, yet he remains the boldest voice that we have when it comes to pinpointing the enemies of our people and calling out the satanic forces of the world by name and face. Certainly, he could not do these things unless he is fully aware of a realistic power that is in the world and a power that is far superior than all of the oppressors of ours combined. That leads us to the reality of this wheel that he speaks of so often. The wheel, or the mother wheel, which the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was shown physically by Master Fard Muhammad, whom he described as being God, Allah in person. It was this God in person who pointed out to Elijah Muhammad the reality of this huge wheel-shaped object in the sky, literally half a mile by half a mile, running pretty much a mile straight through. And along with this huge aircraft called the mother plane or the mother wheel, it houses 1,500 smaller wheel-shaped planes and objects. These are the ones that are seen and have been seen all over the world that fly at phenomenal speeds and fly at all type of angles and maneuver in ways that conventional science and aerospace engineering, you just have no clue how this is working the way that they do. Elijah Muhammad was shown firsthand these objects before there was ever any mass sighting, before any official investigation, even before the term flying saucers and UFOs became a part of the America's jargon. Elijah Muhammad was already shown these things, and the Nation of Islam in the early 30s were already teaching about this phenomena. It sounded so crazy in the 30s and 40s that the authorities mislabeled the Nation of Islam a voodoo cult because they had never heard this type of teaching before. But it wasn't until after these sightings started to become evident and things started happening and encounters started taking place with these wheels that the U.S. government literally arrested Elijah Muhammad due to the FBI arrested him and questioned him about these crafts. And this is really the beginning of the worldwide UFO cover-up. This took place in 1942 when the FBI arrested Elijah Muhammad after the government and military had just witnessed these crafts over Los Angeles a few months prior. So the arrest, the interrogation of Elijah Muhammad about these wheels, and the subsequent incarceration of him for almost 5 years was the beginning of the worldwide UFO cover-up. And the cover-up, the big secret, is all to keep the public from knowing that these wheels, these crafts, these UFOs, these flying saucers, these anomalous objects literally are the work of the God that has come for his people.
Come on, man. Come on.
If we really want to talk about it, I guess we can talk about it later. This is why a subject of this magnitude should be of utmost importance, especially for Black and oppressed people of the world. It is incumbent, it is vitally necessary that we know that there is a power in the world, a real military power that is on our side, that is more superior than all of the powers and military strength of our oppressors combined.
Teach.
You know,
It is necessary that we know this information. Man,
you know, brother.
we cannot continue.
Brother,
Yes, go ahead, man.
Brother Ilya, I wanted to call some other people to the witness stand.
Go ahead.
Because as my brother Jamil would say, some of us don't believe fat meat greasy.
That's right.
But I want us to be clear, brothers and sisters. NASA, the official space agency of the United States, has a task force that is looking into these objects, which the government, up until what, Brother Ilya, maybe 3-4 years ago, did not even admit existed. Now think about that.
Right.
You go from saying that these things don't exist and explaining them away. And Brother Robert, we coming to you on the phone in a minute. As soon as I make this point and give Brother Ilya a chance to respond, we'll bring Brother Robert in on the call, and you can get into 773-591-1690 if you want to get in this conversation. But in just a few years, brothers and sisters, listen. The government has gone from saying these things don't exist to setting up official bodies to investigate them. And it has been said now that Mr. Elizondo, a man at the Defense Department, was studying these things for some 20 years. He studied it so long that he retired. So, Brother Ilya, can you talk a little bit about what has happened in, let's say, the last maybe 3 or 4 years in terms of official disclosures? And if you have any feeling about why that's happening now, get into that. And once you come with your, after your comment, we're going to go to Robert, and then we're going to go to Sister Tawan. Brother Ilya, go ahead.
Yes, sir. We've noticed over the last 3 or 4 years that governmental bodies have publicly come forth admitting that these so-called UFOs do exist. And while many in the public may applaud these government entities for making what they say is a bold stance just for admitting that these crafts exist, I and others, on the other hand, know better, because the fact that they just now are admitting that these planes exist 3 or 4 years ago shows and proves that they have been outright lying for the past 70 plus years or more. So even though publicly they are acknowledging the reality of these planes, that's about all that they're going to do. They're only going to go so far. But it has been in the government intelligence interest to make sure that the public never, ever associates these planes with the source of where they come from. Because if the people knew the truth about the origin and the intent and purposes of these crafts, that would lead them directly to the Nation of Islam. And there's no way that any researcher worth his or her salt can say that you study the UFO phenomena with objectivity and did not lead you to the Nation of Islam. There's no way, because if we look at the earliest FBI files related to this phenomena, it leads to the Nation of Islam. So
that's right.
It is extremely hypocritical for leaders, political, governmental, religious, or otherwise, to continue claiming that they are interested in getting to the source of this phenomena but you reject those of us who provide the most solid answers to this thing. It's outright hypocritical, and I'll say, like I said earlier, the whole cover-up is to hide the fact that Elijah Muhammad did indeed meet the supreme being, or what those in religion call God. And it's impossible to try to keep getting around that, because there is a paper trail. There is traceable evidence, even in government records and newspapers from the 30s, that point to the Nation of Islam as being the source of this phenomenon.
Yeah, Brother Ilya, I want to.
I'm sorry.
No, I want you to keep your point, because there were a couple of things you alluded to, and we're talking with Ilya Rashad Muhammad, Nation of Islam, and one of the foremost scholars on the mother plane and the wheels, also known as UFOs and unidentified aerial phenomena. But I wanted you to come to, because you've alluded to it, but you haven't talked about who made these crafts and what's their purpose. So if you could come to that or jot that down. But let's go to Tawan, Sister Tawan on line 1. Let's bring her in. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Tawan. You're on with BJ Murphy, the great Ilya Rashad Muhammad, and the brother with the cracky voice, Naba Richard Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, brothers. I am so humble and grateful to be on the show. I get excited, Brother Ilya Rashad knows. I get excited when we start talking about the wheel. But one of the things, not that I'm a scientist on that level yet, but what I did want to add was coming from Catholicism and being, kept in the dark. And I was kind of disobedient, as they say, because I ask questions all the time. And I was so grateful to come into these teachings. And I read Brother Ilya Rashad's books, but when we read it again on the open mic, and I had to give the open mic a plug, because we are a study line that's on every day, and we study all of the books. And when we were studying the books by Brother Ilya Rashad, it opened up avenues in my mind that, it just made it so real. And I knew, and I came in, and for whatever reason, I guess because the scientist in me, latched onto the fact that God as a man could be on a wheel in the sky. That couldn't deal with the spooky stuff, And for me, I always feel that whenever we hear Brother Ilya Rashad talking about the wheel, and he was talking about how they vilify the teachings and all of that, because if they confirm this, then they'll confirm that other part, that God is a man and that Elijah Muhammad is still alive. I just wanted to say that. And that's what Brother Ilya Rashad's books helped me to solidify, not believe, but know. I just want to thank you. And thank you, Brother Ilya. Keep doing your work. Thank you, Brother Naba. And you all, I pray this is a success for you, and you keep going. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Walaikum salam. Walaikum salam, Sister Tawan. Beautiful, beautiful. She hit those points, didn't she?
She really did.
Yes, sir.
Let's go to Taj Hollywood. Taj Hollywood, you're on. Peace.
Hey, thank you. And I'm going to get straight to it, because I know you brothers paid for this time. Brother Rashad, what can you share with us? And I've been sympathizing with the teaching since the 80s, when Public Enemy was kind of, rapping about them. What can you share with us about the tune-in process? I'm sort of past the whole trying to convince people about it, because it's well documented. So I don't waste much time I'm like, man, if you really want to know, just look at the facts, and it's there for you. So I'm sort of focusing now in the book, The Mother Plane, The Most Honorable Talk. He went into the tune-in process, and I was just curious if, and it's an honor to share the airways with all you brothers, and thanks for paying for the time. So is there anything Brother Rashad can kind of school us on about the tune-in process?
Yes, sir.
Certainly. And thank you too, Brother Todd, because the Honorable Elijah Muhammad certainly did teach us about the abilities that we have that we just have not tapped into yet. And that is the ability to what he calls tune in or tuning in. And simply put, it's a way of communicating non-verbally, like with our mind, because the mind is so powerful. It is the most uncharted aspect of the human, which is the mind and the brain. There's so much that we just don't know. It's uncharted territory. But we, as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught, are really gods. But we have fallen from our godly state and have become really less than man. We've become almost beast-like. However, that God potential is still in us. And we have the ability to do things like tune in, or some would call it telepathy, where we can communicate with our minds with other people. So in the supreme wisdom or the lessons or the curriculum of the Nation of Islam, we're taught about how the speed of thought and how the speed of thought goes so many billions and billions of miles per hour. So it is the potential of the human mind is just unfathomable. So something like tuning in, which he also used the term radio in the head, where we can send and receive messages. And in the Theology of Time lecture series, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad even gave us recommendations as to what we can do to practice getting back into that ability of tuning in. He talked about being in a quiet place and clearing our minds and things like that, and really clearing our body, and just kind of concentrate on that brother or that sister or even the motors of the wheel. And, after good practice and cleaning up yourself, we'll be able to tap into those abilities again. And it is not far-fetched, because all of us on this phone, on this radio, listening, we've had those experiences in our life where we had a dream or had a thought, and lo and behold, we end up walking into that thought. In reality, the same thing we thought about happened, or we were just thinking about somebody or something and it happens. Well, that's a sign that your mind is working without us purposely doing it, So when we are really in our right mind, we would be able to do that purposely and at will. So that's part of that tuning in. And those people, which we call scientists, also known as angels, those are people, our brothers and sisters who control those planes that you call UFOs. And they are more than skilled in the ability to tune in. And many of the abduction cases and encounters, the credible ones, they all have experienced something along those lines. So yes, that is a reality. Thank you, Brother Todd.
Brother Ilya, you alluded to, but you didn't go into detail, and I'd like for you to do that. We got about 6 minutes, I guess, and before Brother BJ is going to break in. But
yes, sir.
Who made these crafts, since you said they were made by a person or designed by a person or created by a person? Certainly others would have to help with their construction, right? Who is the architect, the mastermind behind these crafts, and what is their purpose, and how is it related to black folk?
We'll get right to it. The mastermind, the architect, the mind and the person behind these phenomenal crafts is none other than Master Fard Muhammad, the one who taught Elijah Muhammad and pointed out this reality to Elijah Muhammad. This is the man whom we in the Nation of Islam recognize as the Almighty God Allah in person. It is he who oversaw the construction, and it was he who facilitated the mobilization and construction of this plane. It took a task force of thousands of people from all over the world to help construct this plane, even though hardly any of them knew what the ultimate goal of this project would be. But it was under his direction and under the direction of those right under him who were scientists, also known as angels in the scriptures. They are people. These are no Cupid-looking people or things that Hollywood would lead us to believe in, but they're people like us who work under the tutelage of Master Fard Muhammad. These are people with enormous capabilities, and under those scientists, there was a labor force of thousands of people who did different parts from all over the world, a process that took about 20 years because that plane did not launch until 1929. The main construction of it, the motor and the main construction of it took place in the area of Japan, the islands of Nippon, that area of the world. But it did not launch from the Earth until 1929. And that's why you don't have any credible UFO sightings of this type, of these wheel-shaped objects prior to then. You have things that were unknown, that were seen or witnessed, but no mass sightings, no waves of disc-shaped objects, no official investigations took place before then because they were not in existence. You know, not including those that existed way back in the day, the ancient days. But that's another story for another time. But needless to say, these crafts are the direct result of Master Fard Muhammad and his host of scientists or angels who pilot these crafts. They are highly skilled, highly technical. They are capable of tuning in, or as we call it, use telepathic powers, telekinetic powers, if you will, and they have proven to do so. Just ask the military and all those missile sites that have been shut down over the past 50 or 60 years or so. So in short,
That's right.
These crafts represent the presence, the power of a real God who has fulfilled all those prophecies that he said he would. This is what the Nation of Islam represents. This is what backs the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and it is his teacher that the world thought was dead, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, who is guiding him. So I thank you, Brother Nava, Brother DJ, and all of those really at WVON for allowing us the opportunity to discuss this very important topic on the airwaves. And I'm certain this won't be the last time we have the opportunity to do so.
Brother Eliab, we're going to hold you over because we got you coming back right after the break at the top of the hour. We're going to come back with Brother Elia Rashad Muhammad. And brothers and sisters, he's one of our foremost scholars on the subject of unidentified flying objects, the funereal, what do you call it now? What's the new one?
Unidentified aerial phenomena.
Aerial phenomena. Yeah, he's one of the foremost scientists on this subject in the Nation of Islam. Very provocative, brothers and sisters. And I want to ask y'all, you listening, where in the world can you hear information like this that is impacting Black America? If all of Black America knew this reality, you know, what kind of unity and pride and fearlessness we would have walking on this earth, right? So why don't you support this program so we can continue to empower our people? You can, advertise with us. You can support us with a donation, Cash App, $, straight words, on Cash App, $ Straight Words on Cash App, on Zelle. You can hit us up at 312-480-9775. That's 312-480-9775. Whatever you want to give to show your appreciation and your love for having this program on the air. And if you got PayPal, we'll take that at straightwords4@gmail.com. Support us, brothers and sisters. Brother Nabab Muhammad, the editor-in-chief of the Final Call newspaper. Yours truly, Brother BJ. And, of course, more with Brother Ilya Rashad coming up right after the top of the hour on WVON 1690, The Talk of Chicago.
Talk of Chicago and the voice of the nation is 1690 WVON, Bergen, Chicago.
Police say by her white neighbor in Florida, where Stand Your Ground defense is again front and center, leaving the loved ones of Ajika A.J. Owens mourning her unbelievable death.
My daughter, my grandchildren's mother, was shot and killed with her 9-year-old son standing next to her.
The dispute with the neighbor concerned the children, a running feud about the black kids getting in her yard. Reportedly, the white neighbor threw a pair of skates, hit the child. Owens went to find out why. Allegedly, the 58-year-old white woman shot through the closed door, now calls for her arrest. The head of the NAACP says the clock is ticking.
We support the sheriff in doing what's right. We just request that he do it right now.
Kentucky's top law enforcer didn't fight for African-American Breonna Taylor, so a national social justice organization is fighting to make sure he does not become governor. Current State Attorney General Daniel Cameron, who is a black Republican, is campaigning to run the state. The group called Until Freedom did not forget how Cameron's case to the grand jury did not persuade them to bring charges against the white cops who killed the black EMT during a botched 2020 raid in her Louisville home. The group announced their campaign against Cameron on what would have been Breonna Taylor's 30th birthday.
A black worker at luxury retailer Saks Fifth Avenue got a luxury sum in a discrimination lawsuit. Elizabeth Cook got $9 million for what she claimed was unjust treatment at the Saks in Columbus, Ohio, at Polaris Fashion Place. An Ohio jury agreed, giving her $2.3 million for lost wages and $7 million in punitive damages. The lawsuit also alleges regular profiling of black people who enter the store. Saks denies any wrongdoing.
Millions of dollars are heading to Jackson, Mississippi to continue to fix the water. The mostly black town has had issues with the cleanliness of its water for decades. Black White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre says the $115 million coming from the Biden administration is part of efforts to ensure all Americans have access to safe drinking water.
The city's water system was in crisis at some point last summer. The people of Jackson have lived under constant threat of boil water orders.
Funding is part of more than $500 million appropriated by Congress.
We are celebrating Black Music Month, highlighting the incomparable Brooklyn-born Lisa Fisher. She was the staple holding together the best of them as backup singer to Luther as in Vandross, the great Tina Turner, who we just lost, Sting, and she was on fire touring with the Rolling Stones for more than 20 years. Her 1991 debut album, So Intense, included How Can I Ease the Pain? I'm Vanessa Tyler with Mike Stevens on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network.
It's It's Matt McGill.
Let me tell you, Barack got this presidential center going up in Jackson Park, man. It's creating all kind of traffic problems, man. I'll be glad when it's over and done with. I'll be honest with you. Love Barack, but that damn construction is driving me crazy over there in Jackson Park. Finesse,
well, we got to get the project done.
Got to get it done.
Because if anybody deserves a building, it's me.
That's right. That's right.
I need my name on something.
Matt McGill, weekdays at 1 p.m. on The Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON. Hey, Alexa, play WVON 1690 AM.
Getting WVON 1690 AM station from iHeartRadio.
Try it out for yourself. America is listening to WVON. The Talk of Chicago 1690 WVON is celebrating Black Music Month with the evolution of hip-hop. 50 years of hip-hop. This week we're celebrating the 80s. And today's featured artist, LL Cool J.
Please welcome LL Cool J.
No one epitomizes the mass appeal of hip-hop better than Queens, New York-born Ty Smith, a.k.a. LL Cool J. This muscle-bound, lip-licking, Kango hat-wearing rapping machine blasted on the scene in 1985 with a simple track on the Crush Groove soundtrack called I Can't Live Without My Radio. But it was his 1987 album, Bigger and Deffer, which included his mega hits, I'm Bad and I Need Love, that would make him a bona fide superstar.
When I'm alone in my room, sometimes I stare at the wall, and in the back of my mind, I hear my conscience call, telling me I need a girl who's as sweet as a dove. For the first time in my life, I see I need love.
LL is a leading actor, a multi-million album seller, a two-time Grammy winner, and one of the most successful hip-hop artists of all time. If you want to see why he's one of the best to ever do it, check out his 2021 induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You'll see why the ladies love Cool J, and so do music fans all over the world.
We are artists too. We love you. Thank you. God bless. Mama, I made it!
June is Black Music Month, and the Talk of Chicago 1690 WVON has got you covered all month long. It's the evolution of hip-hop. That's how you celebrate hip-hop at 50 and WVON at 60. June is Pride Month, and 1690 WVON supports the LGBTQ community. You're out, you're proud. We are the Talk of Chicago. 1690 WVON. From the Xfinity Studios at WVON, we are the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. Welcome back to Straight Words with Brother Naba Richard Muhammad and our great host, B.J. Murphy, who's not in the studio. We're doing a fine job. We have on the line Ilya Rashad Muhammad, one of the foremost scholars on so-called UFOs, UAPs, all them things that white folks been telling you for years is not real, that now they're admitting that are real. Brother Ilya, we got about 7 minutes. I'm going to say we got about 5 because this is what I want to do. I want to give you the last 2 minutes, maybe 3, to give the listeners how to reach you, maybe list some of the books you have, how to follow you, and how to support your project. I want to say something, brothers and sisters. One, we hope that you are hearing things that give you a desire to learn. Just because you're hearing something new doesn't mean you should discard it. We have been taught all kinds of foolishness in terms of reality, starting with the Easter Bunny and Santa Claus. Those teachings warp your vision of reality. So I just want to say 2 things real quickly. One, supreme being, right? Or we say God. supreme essentially means the highest, right? The ultimate of something, right? Being at its core means that which exists. So to say the supreme being literally, the words are telling you it is someone who exists at the highest level on all levels. Brother Ilya, the floor is yours. I want to give you could talk about the purpose for which these crafts were created. We talked about who made them. Why?
Yes. The purpose, in short, is in fulfillment of those divine prophecies. And that purpose involves two main purposes. One of which is literally as a tool for the destruction of Satan's world, because this is a world ruled and governed by satanic powers.
And you mean real people. You don't mean no ghost Satans. You mean real Satans.
Absolutely. We talk about real people that run military, that run media, that run financial markets, that run educational curriculum. The satanic forces of the world described in the book of Revelation as the synagogue of Satan. It is a group of people who significantly influence and run world affairs and industry, and they do so contrary to the way of righteousness. It is that satanic force that will be destroyed, be it militarily, politically, and otherwise. And so this wheel is an instrument of God. It is a weapon of God used in the destruction for the judgment that all these scriptures have talked about, but it is also here to help establish the kingdom of God on earth after the destruction of this world's paradigm, its systems, its ways, its mindset. After the power of Satan is broken, then and only then will the fullness of that wisdom that is on that wheel be implemented here on earth. And this is why we found it necessary to study this topic, to publish works on this topic. And my books, UFOs and the Nation of Islam, which is one of our bestsellers, it's available through finalcall.com. But my book and our documentary, Answered, which is catching a lot of good reviews, all of that is available on our website at nationbrothers.com. Again, nationbrothers.com. You can access our books and resources, and you can access the first episode of our docuseries entitled Answered, which literally answers the UFO phenomena with verity.
Very good, very good. I want you to repeat that one more time, Brother Lee. I want to make sure that people have the opportunity. The other thing I want to say is to learn more. Lectures by Minister Farrakhan, there are a number, but there's one in particular, The Reality of the Mother Plane. I think that was done, is that 1986, Brother Ilya, at the Final Call building?
He did two in 1986 and one in 86. He did one in 86 and 87. One is The Reality of the Mother Plane, which was done January 4th, 1987. And another one entitled The Wheel and the Last Days, which was in 1986.
Yes.
Very powerful. Not to mention the minister's powerful series of The Time and What Must Be Done, parts 53 through 56, I believe. He deals most heavily with the wheel. Part 51 through 56. He deals very heavily with this UFO phenomena. But again, our website is nationbrothers.com, where we have our books and resources and our documentary series that the public can access.
Very good. And we wanted to say, Brother Ilya, thank you for coming on. We really want to bring you back. But brothers and sisters, the books by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Message to the Black Man, whole section on this subject, whole section on who God is and what he is really like, to take us out of the realm of ghost gods, of spook gods. We're living in a world of solid reality. We're living in a world of scientific fact. Look at now, after lying, 50, 60, 70 years, now the enemy is slowly being forced to admit truth. If they're being forced to admit truth, I submit to you two things. That God is at work and these things are being made manifest, so it is now becoming more and more incumbent for them to try to manage this thing, since it's looking like they can't control it. Brother Ilya, you got 1 minute. Go ahead and close us, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Brother Naba, Brother BJ, and all of those involved in having us on this show. I'm just honored to be able to talk about this subject, honored to be a student of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and a student of the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And I would encourage anyone listening on these airwaves to also become a student of the wisdom and guidance that these men offer. It will only be to your and my benefit. So thank you once again. I'm available on social media. You can reach us on our website at nationbrothers.com. And I'm certain this will not be the last time that we have the opportunity to talk about this majestic masterpiece of mechanics called the Mother Plane. Thank you again, dear.
Wow. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
That's wonderful.
Brother BJ,
Wonderful,
you got
man.
something special for us you about to get into? Sister Starla, hold
Yes,
tight.
sir.
Give us a couple minutes, and we'll be right with you for our Black Press Roundtable.
Yes, sir.
We're hoping to have Sister Naima Latif on as well. Brother BJ, it's you.
That's right. We got Straight Words. Y'all listening to our show. Brother Naba, Richard Muhammad, Brother BJ Murphy, and WVON 1690 The Talk of Chicago. We have brothers and sisters who love this program that are sponsoring this program. And we want to get into a conversation we had with Brother Kevin Muhammad out of Atlanta. He's one of the sponsors, along with Brother Donnell out of Charlotte. So let's talk to him real quick.
We got some supporters with Straight Words. Brother Donnell in Charlotte is one of our big supporters. And this brother, he doesn't really want to speak, so he has people on his team that are speaking for him. There's a brother named Kevin Salam Muhammad, who's at Mosque number 15B in Atlanta, Georgia. He's on the line right now. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, family.
Yes, sir. Welcome to the show, brother. And we want to talk about what you brothers are doing down there in Atlanta. Man, you have an interesting story because now everybody know about them fruit bags, right? If you FOI, you know about carrying them fruit bags and water, right? This brother has been doing that since 1997. But he grew his business off of that, and he provides fresh fruits and vegetables for the brothers and sisters in that food desert in Atlanta. So, brother, tell us how you started that business, and tell us how the minister inspired you to do all this.
Yes, sir. Well, first I want to thank you all for having me on the show and having this program. Brother James, the legendary editor, he was the editor of the Final Call newspaper when I came in the mosque in 1995. Brother Naba, taking the baton and ran with it. And Brother BJ, I thank you for the voice that you provide. But yes, I came to the nation in 1995, the year of the Million Man March, and I was a college graduate in 1994. But when I heard the message of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, as represented by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan of Due for Self, we went out with the Final Call. At that time, it was every 2 weeks coming out. But we were out pushing hard in the community. And, we started with fruit bags, $1 fruit bags, 3 pieces of fruit, apple, orange, banana. And I just caught the spirit of the entrepreneurial spirit just from the Final Call newspaper and pushing the word of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad as taught by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So, his representation inspired me to go into business for myself. And in that community, as Brother BJ alluded to, you know, we don't have fresh produce. And at that time, you know, it was simple, apple, orange, banana, but a demand started to grow, and they would call for, you know, do you have any grapes? Do you have any plums? Do you have peaches? You know, this is in Georgia. So I started using another brother's vending location. In Atlanta, we have the city sets aside vending spaces. And at the time, I was being harassed by the police. So a brother let me use part of his space. And from there, he left the vending business. So I was able to take over. And this is 1997. And so now we have a full-fledged produce business, and we take all forms of payment. And I hooked up with my brother Donnell in Charlotte. And we have big things planned with our farm here in Georgia. Dr. Ridgely and the watermelons and the squash and the corn, you know, and it's an outlet for our people to receive fresh, organic, GMO-free produce. And you know, this community that we're in is a highly conscious community, and, you know, they're willing to pay the extra dollars for the organic. And knowing that it comes from the Black Muslim farm, you know, we're very excited about that. So
well, we need to get a load of the watermelons up here in Chicago, brother. Brother Donnell, they travel all over the country. They'll take the fresh fruits and vegetables anywhere that our people need them. So that's why this group is really, really special, between Brother Donnell, Dr. Ridgely, and you, Brother Kevin. Kevin, can I give out the number so people can contact you, brother?
Yes, sir, please.
Okay, that number is 404-388-3912. That's 404-388-3912. And you can also catch him on Instagram at KY Terry, the number 7. KY Terry, the number 7. We're going to have you back next week, brother, so we can go into a little bit more of this, man. But thank you, brother, for doing what you're doing.
Brother Kevin, just want to say this is Brother Naba, man. We are so proud of you. And you giving our people how to live. Do me a favor, if you would. Send some pictures of what you do to Brother BJ. We like to put them on our Instagram pages, and we like to put them on our website, straightwords.com. But you're doing a marvelous job. You've been doing it for many years.
Wow.
You are a sterling example of a black man touched by the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, under the guidance of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Honored to hear from you, brother. Honored to meet you.
More praise to do to Allah. And feeling as mentoring, I would certainly follow up with that.
Thank you.
Praise be to Allah.
And for the note, Georgia watermelons come out in late June, July.
All right, we be looking for you late June, July. Let us know when you're coming so we can let the people know where to find you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Thank you, brother.
All right, brothers and sisters. So that was a great interview. Brother BJ enjoyed it. That's one of our sponsors, and just showing and having the opportunity to present to you good news. What you heard from Brother Ilya was good news, and we're going to bring him back. Don't worry. And what you just heard was solutions to problems and black men doing something for themselves, which is where our success lies. So we know the black man is going nowhere without the black woman. So we can bring in Sister Starla Muhammad, who's been holding for us as we await the arrival of Sister Naima Latif. But we got Sister Starla on now. Sister Starla, assalamu alaikum, how you doing?
Wa alaikum salam, brother editor. I am well by Allah's grace and mercy, and am honored once again to be joining you and Brother BJ Murphy on Straight Words.
Sister, this is Sister Starla Muhammad, who is the managing editor for the Final Call newspaper and an incredible journalist. We are awaiting Sister Naima Latif to join us. We typically have 3 black female journalists, but today we'll either have 1 or we'll have 2. But we got you now, Sister Starla, so let's get right into it. You've had a couple weeks because we didn't broadcast last week. We reran tributes to the minister pre-birthday. We did a little pre-birthday celebration as one of our shows. We ran that. We rebroadcast that show last week. So we didn't get to talk about a couple editions of the paper. So you had one, Remembering Two Legends, that talked about the legacies, impact, and contributions of the incomparable Tina Turner and the iconic Jim Brown. Then the paper that just came off the press today, Hip Hop at 50. And
yes,
a beautiful article from the minister. Farrakhan challenges the hip hop community, accept the responsibility of leadership. Sister Starla, let's get right into it. So, what's in this week's Final Call, and what else is going on that we need to know about?
Yes, sir. Well, just as you stated, Brother Naba, the current edition of the Final Call, we're recognizing and celebrating the 50th anniversary of hip hop. So many historians, put the date at 1973 in terms of, quote unquote, the official start of this phenomenal genre. And when you think about, the humble beginnings of this art form and where it is today, we wanted to really just start off writing a piece, just kind of examining, this art form that has really impacted and influenced the world, not only in the United States, but abroad. And so we know that hip hop was birthed by Black and brown youth in New York, started off very small, just in, back to school events and DJs and MCs grabbing the mic. Of course, you've got the break dancers, the graffiti art and DJs, and just really it's an art form. So we really wanted to pay tribute that has now been 50 years. And this is an art form, as you know, Brother Naba, Brother BJ, that in its infancy in those early years, it was a lot of criticism or thinking that this art form is not going to last. But as we can see 5 decades later, it's really taken over the world. So we're hoping by Allah's grace and mercy that this article is really just a start of an occasional series on hip hop. There's so many layers to this culture, to this art form, that of course we couldn't get it all in this first article that we rolled out, but we're hoping over these next several weeks to continue exploring the different avenues and areas of rap, which is now a multi-billion, with a B, billion-dollar industry. And if you look at from its early stages to where it is now, it's really phenomenal that in a period of 50 years, we've gone from, break dancing and, gatherings at parties to now you've got hip hop artists who are movers and shakers in business, in fashion, and in other areas. So truly just a nice overview on 5 decades of innovation, influence, and impact. And you mentioned, of course, Brother Naba, the minister's article that is featured in the center of the Final Call this week. Farrakhan challenges the hip-hop community, accept the responsibility of leadership. And for those who may not be necessarily steeped in hip-hop culture or knowledge, I always, talk about, Brother Naba, that, the rebuilding of the Nation of Islam that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has done started right around the early days of hip hop. And so the influence of the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the words of the minister, the presence of the minister, and the Nation of Islam goes hand in hand with this art form as well. And since its inception, since the beginning, the minister has been a counselor, a big brother, a father, a role model to our brothers and sisters in the hip hop community. He has taken many young people under his wing, many of our young artists who seek him for guidance and counsel. And one of the things that was so, I think, important in this particular message that we highlighted this week in the final call that the minister is talking about, that, you know, our hip hop artists, they have leadership potential. And he says that, you know, Allah God, he doesn't create anything without a purpose and an aim. And so when we discover our reason for being, you know, we delve into the force and power that's within each and every one of us. So he's been a constant voice of counsel and guidance to our brothers and sisters in the hip hop community. So again, this first article, brothers and sisters, is just the first, and what we hope, again, will be an occasional series as we celebrate the 50th anniversary of hip-hop this year in 2023.
You know, Sister Starling, we got Naima Latif. Sister Naima, we're going to bring you in shortly, so stand by and get your notes. Well, you probably don't need notes. I need notes. But we'll bring you into the conversation in a few. I want to just refer, because I remember being at this National Hip Hop Summit June 13, 2001 in New York City. And this is now the center article for this week's Final Call newspaper. And there's a beautiful picture. And I remember at this meeting, brothers and sisters, anybody who was somebody in hip hop was at this meeting. Put together by Russell Simmons, helped put it together, along with then the Reverend Ben Chavis. And it was the hip hop summit, but it was a beautiful thing. I want to read something real quick. This is taken from the minister's article. You can get it at finalcall.com right now. You see the FOI out on the street. Get your copy. Get your print copy. Check this out. This is what the minister said. You will not find the words hip hop necessarily in the Bible or in the Quran, but you are there in a very big way. The minister's talking to hip-hop artists. That's the you he's referring to. In the book of John, it says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God. And the Word became flesh, and flesh dwelled among men, and the light shined in the darkness, but the darkness comprehended it not. I do not think it is an accident that music and culture have moved to this time, and that the spoken word has become that which is affecting youth throughout the entire planet. In countries where governments do not like Western music or Western civilization, people are sneaking around, listening to the word and moving to the beat of the hip-hop generation. If in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, then God here means force and power. The Word has force. The Word has power. Force and power to move men to think new thoughts and to do new things. You got to read that incredible article. Sister Starla, we're going to have some time to get into some other things. You want to mention anything else, or should we bring in Sister Naima right now?
We can go ahead and bring in our dear sister, Sister Naima.
All right, Sister Naima Latif, Chicago-based journalist. I'll let her introduce herself and her outlet. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Naima. Thank you for being on Straight Words. The floor is yours.
Wa alaikum salam, and peace and blessings to all your listeners. I appreciate so much the hard work of all our sister journalists and brothers as well. We do put forth the word. That is our job as journalists, and our outlet, which we have a media company, On Air, which stands for Online Network of Associated Internet Radio Hosts. And through that, we've connected with so many who are committed to bringing higher consciousness to the word. And we've been putting out the thought so that it can become magnified. The idea that what our generation's task is to create a new world. If the world was created by the word, then of course our job is to use a new word to create a new world. And what we say every morning on our program, The Female Solution, we have a daily broadcast which we are constantly reminding people 50 years from now, the earth will be populated by a new generation of adults, many of whom are yet unborn. Our mission is to nurture them in childhood with love, guidance, and protection, and to raise them in healthy, happy families. When we do that, then they will create a world where people can live together in peace. This is our goal. And so with every piece of news that we put forth, we also want it to be solution-oriented. If we present a problem, then we want to also present a solution. Now, one of the biggest issues that has arisen in the news in Chicago, many have heard, we've got the busloads of migrants coming out of Texas from across the border, and everybody's angry because the city council voted to use $51 million of its surplus money to pay for their housing and health care and prepare them to be able to function in the city and live lives that many of the people who've been homeless for decades have not been able to live. And so people are angry and feeling that particularly the Black community has been shortchanged. And so we looked at that situation and understanding the humanitarian efforts that our new mayor, Brandon Johnson, wanted to put forth, we look at the bigger picture of what it is telling us as a human family. And one of the things that we're looking at assisting the mayor and the administration and the people of Chicago in recognizing is that this issue of our homelessness is solvable by the people themselves. Just like we put forth the thought, which we are looking to have some of our elected officials introduce as a legislative piece, to empower people to be host families for those who are homeless, just as you are a foster family for a child that is temporarily homeless or without parents because parents are dysfunctional or absent. Well, if we can do that, if we can pay people a stipend for helping someone who's homeless by bringing them into their homes, and that would include the money that it takes for their health care, their mental health care, their lodging and all those things, food, well, then maybe we as a human family can be more humane and we can be operating as a collective and as a family, and we can see each other as brothers and sisters. Now, we put the thought out there to open the conversation up so that we're not just angry at the $51 million that has been voted to be spent on people that some are saying, look, these are illegal aliens. We don't know anything about them. Why do they get preference? We put the thought out there so we could see the larger picture and encourage people who have various programs and also encourage us to see the situation differently. And many of the issues that we address from that perspective of how do we raise the consciousness of the human family so that we can begin to create a better world, because this is our goal.
Very good. Very good. Thank you, sister. I wanted to, you talked about this $51 million. And if I'm not mistaken, that $51 million is only supposed to last about a month in terms of serving the needs of people. But I think that part of what people are, in particular Black folks, are upset about is laid out in the recent State of Chicago report by the Chicago Urban League. And this report talks about just this continued tale of two cities in the city, let alone a shrinking Black population in Chicago, people driven out by a number of things, cost of living, housing and insecurity in neighborhoods, failing education, and just feeling unwelcome in the city. So this is from the Chicago Urban League. And I wanted just to cite some of their research because I think we really have to look deep into what is causing people anger and angst. It's not that they don't want to give. And it's not just homeless people that are suffering.
Yes,
it's everyday, ordinary people It is the frustration that we see in our youth. It is the inability of the school system to produce functioning, well-educated, which is the purpose or the supposed purpose of the school system. But I wanted to get to, these are some of the actual facts according to the Chicago Urban League. And this is what Black Enterprise wrote. With a clear difference between where each race lived. Check that out. Clear difference. There's a line of demarcation. Ain't no integration. We're separate and unequal. We're in a condition that's called segregation. Right? So, with a clear difference between where each race lived, the disparities in resources, safety, access, and income will continue to rise. So let's get to some of the facts. The median, according to this report from the Chicago Urban League, median income for black households in Chicago, $36,000 a year. For white people, $82,000 a year. That's more than double. That's more than double. The majority, this is again quoting from Black Enterprise, the majority of white residents tend to exist in solid, listen to that word, solid middle class and wealthier communities that allow them immediate access to a range of Chicago's amenities. So not only do black people have less money, they have less access to the quote-unquote amenities or the good life. So when some of our children go downtown and they're confronted by the police, and maybe some of them acted up, okay, but there's something going on where you have our people pinned in, you're not giving them anything, you're not focused on their development. And so then when one or two or even more than that act up, now you want that to represent the whole, which it absolutely does not. What it represents is a problem that has not been solved. And I would say we need to ask those in leadership in this city, where is your resolution to solve the problem?
Absolutely.
And if you are unresolved to solve the problem of black people in this city, then be honest about it. There's an article in the Final Call this week. And Sister Starla, you can weigh in on this if you like. The headline says, under the white man's mask. So under what you see being projected by white people, under that is boiling hatred, backlash, and why black people must separate. Now I know a lot of us don't like that, but we already separate. We're separate. We're in the killing fields when we're in the streets of Chicago. We're in the killing fields when it comes to education. We're in the killing fields when it comes to bad food. So we are separated and we are not living as we should as true human beings. And so I say to the leadership in this city, what are you really going to do to try to move black people forward in the name of the humanity that you've shown others? As I think the Alderman Jeanette Taylor asked, when is it our turn? Go ahead, Sister Naima.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, sir. You know, and I was at that city council meeting, as well as I was with the mayor when he toured the police stations with the migrants and so forth. And yes, it hurts to see women with babies sleeping on the floor, but we also see that in the homeless, like you said. You know, we've been suffering, and this is why when we look at the situation that exists, we know we have to create something else. Now, I've also reported on a global peace organization that has been for a long time pushing for a specific program that they have introduced in countries around the world called Peace Education. And it's an educational, it's a 12-course class, basically. But it lays out some ethics and values that we should have as a human family and ways we should live. And it just makes sense. And if our children are taught this, number one, they can analyze what's wrong and just flat out say, well, this is wrong. You should not have some people sleeping on concrete and other people sleeping in mansions and other people walking past as if they don't see it, when there's enough for everybody. So you have to change the thoughts, which means we have to change what we're teaching our children. So they had a peace walk on Saturday, kicking off the Memorial Day weekend. Not only advocating that the American schools adopt this course and teach it so that our children can think differently. They can begin K through 12 learning principles of just basic, right, decent living. We should be able to teach that. And the second thing, they've got a global peace initiative written out in a document that has been spread to nations around the world. And we went to their event and reported on the commemoration of that, and that they've been very successful in getting other nations to adopt what is known as the Declaration of Peace and Cessation of War document that was put together by countries all over the world when they gathered at a global peace summit years ago in South Korea. And the chairman of the organization, Chairman Man-hee Lee of South Korea, he's been visiting nations all around the world. He's come to America, but America, because it makes so much money in arms sales and everything else, America's really not trying to change its culture. And this is why we need a different word. And this is why we're hearing a different sound from our children, because they come here with a spirit to create a new world. And that's what we encourage. So we highlight those who are bringing forth programs, projects, and principles that can lay a new foundation for the new world we must create. And those of us who are of higher consciousness, when we have our platforms, be it print, internet, television, radio, we have to keep putting forth this thought that we are creating a new world. Just like the word made the world in the beginning, we've got to use that word to make the new world.
Sister Starla, I'm going to bring you in, but let's bring Jay. He's been holding. Let's bring Jay into the conversation. Jay, you're on with Naba Richard Muhammad. This is Straight Words. Welcome to the show.
Assalamu alaikum, my brother.
Walaikum salam.
All the people. And I appreciate the show very much. It's something I'd like to just consider in general. You think about what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad did for our race. We have to separate ourselves from that. We weren't part of a constitution. They're replacing us. It's just that simple. When we came up in America and had growth like Rosewood and Tulsa, what did the government do? Come in and wipe us out. They never wanted us to have anything of our own. So we have to do something different. We have to separate ourselves from them and put our talents and gifts together. I'll give you an example, or a personal example. I'm a person that was able to adjust to the system, right? I'm college educated. I was a scholar, so I could get through. Even with all that going for me, I felt like the man in 12 Years a Slave. There you are with all these gifts and talents, and everybody gets everything, and they look over you. Even when you are the top salesperson on that job, they say, okay, when you're a top salesperson, you get the office of your own, you get your name put up, and you get free dinner. How come I got free dinner in the office, but my face never put up? Because for one thing, I was pro-black in the first place, because I felt like, hey, that's why they treat us so bad in the second place. They can use us to build a country, but they can't give us anything. We ought to build our own. Leave them alone. If we just put our little change together, look at how much we can get. I say that all the time. I found not one person. Maybe I can get my friend Lynn Richardson to pick it up. If we just take 100 black men and 100 black women, we put that together and you give up $100 a week, that's over $1 million in a short period of time. Not to count the money, let's count the talents and the gifts of us putting our talents together. What will we get? They teach us division in this society. Why do you think we kill each other up? It didn't always, wasn't always like that. When we came out of the slavery situation and we was coming from the south to the north, we helped each other up. But all of a sudden, because Joe got a house and I'm in the hood, it's a fight going on. Or if they over there on that side of the family, they doing drugs, getting into the worst things, and we over here trying to do what's right, you got conflicts in families. But if we all got together and helped each other, nobody would suffer except the people that are supposed to be in power. Let's do something different, y'all. You just can't keep asking them for nothing. Don't you see they playing that? They started off talking about DACA and Dreamers years ago, getting people sympathy to feel sorry for folks in another country. Show me one country that will let you come over in their country and they're going to put some people ahead of the people that pay. It never would happen. So America's doing that because they already used us to build a country. They don't need us anymore. They flag in front of us. Oh, we got Michael Jordan and Oprah Winfrey and Bob Johnson. You all have billionaires. Black people have arrived. So they move right on. How many people are Oprah Winfrey? How many people is Michael Jordan? But see, it's not important. All of us are important. If we looked at ourselves as a group instead of looking at ourselves as individuals, man, y'all would be shocked at what we could do. Let's do that instead and stop asking them for anything. I mean, it makes sense, right? You put yourself in that same situation. I'll just conclude with this. Okay, so I work in a job, and I get the job, then they see they don't like me, so they're going to fire me. So I'm sitting there, how I'm going to pay my bill? So I flip the switch. I'm the one with the gifts and talents that they need and they want. So guess what happens next? Apple sends me a computer and asks me, can I work for them? Because I have the gifts and talents. I ain't got to ask them to work for nobody. They asked me to work for them, sent me a Mac, and did the rest. I was a mentor for that company for years, did a whole bunch of stuff because of what I already know. Can't take knowledge from people. The power is in the knowledge. Everybody's chasing money, and they ought to get some knowledge. Because when you got knowledge and wisdom, you stop long enough to get along with your brother, because you know two is better than one. And you all can go 4 times as far with just 2 people getting together. But they teach this system of division. Look at us. So-called Democrats and Republicans, which one of those represent us? Why you think they snuffed out the Black Panther Party back in the day when somebody said, let's do something for our own people? They didn't want us to have that choice. So we got to just do something different. Whatever they want to do, fine. But I tell y'all one thing on the conclusion. If we step away from them, they showing the hell gonna fall. They depend on us for everything. They have never invented music. They've never done anything as far as clothing. They didn't invent the light bulb. They didn't invent electricity. They haven't really done anything. So when we harness our power, we won't need them. Don't you all agree?
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Sister Starla, won't you get in right there? I'm sure you got something to say about that.
Yes, sir, indeed. Brother Naba, it makes me reflect on something that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has stated on multiple occasions, and that at a certain point, Allah, God, is going to force us or make us separate. And so he spoke about the continued mask of civility that is becoming uncovered when we look at the actions of our open enemies. And, the minister, in a message during his phenomenal lecture series, The Time and What Must Be Done, there was a part that he talked about, can black and white live together in peace? And I just want to real briefly read from it. The minister said, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us that one of the things that must be done in this time is that we must be separated from our former slave masters and their children, because time will prove that they will become more and more disagreeable to live with in peace. Unfortunately, race relations will continue to get worse because the government cannot provide enough food, clothing, shelter, and jobs or justice for us. As we sit around waiting for somebody else to do this for us and demanding what we feel are our basic rights as so-called citizens, we are making our former slave masters and their children more angry with us, and thus they are becoming more disagreeable to live with in peace. That's why the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said we must be separated if we don't want to continue to suffer great loss. And so in the article that you mentioned, Brother Naba, that's in the current edition of the Final Call, Under the White Man's Mask, we just really wanted to examine just the continuing and ongoing examples of why the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad's program and position of separation is one that will be beneficial and life-saving to both people. And so as these incidents around the country continue to unfold, again, we have been warned and given divine guidance, not only what we see happening, but why it is happening. So we strive, of course, in the Final Call to keep our readers and our people up to speed as these things unfold. And again, to continue to, spread the word of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in terms of, this is not going to stop. The minister has said on multiple occasions that the killing of our people at the hands of whether it is police or whether it is the fratricidal violence that we inflict on one another, we're dealing with a war on two fronts, but that until we get out from not only the mindset of our open enemy, but physically separate, we're going to continue to see these problems in our community. So thank you.
Thank you, sister. We're going to be coming to the top of the hour in about 5 minutes. Sisters, I know it's getting a little late out here, but y'all young. But if you have time, we can hang out and deal with these subjects for as long as you want. Or if you want to go another 15, 20 minutes, and we can let you all go if that's what you desire. But I think we're having some really good points that are being made, and some serious things that we have to discuss in terms of looking at reality. Because I'm looking at page 2 of the new edition of the Final Call, and it is the story of young Cyrus Carmack Belton.
Yes, sir.
Cyrus Carmack Belton, a black teenage boy shot to death in South Carolina by an Asian store owner. Listen to this. A teenage boy shot to death by an Asian store owner in South Carolina, running away from the man the boy had done nothing wrong. The store owner suspected him of stealing. This is according to the Final Call story written by Brother Brian E. Muhammad, Final Call staff writer. Chased this young man. Or maybe he didn't chase him, maybe he hunted him down. Like an innocent animal. And he shot this boy to death and killed him. Was he arrested the first day? No, he was not. Now, that's in this week's Final Call. But just wait, there's more, right? There's more. A black mother of 4 was shot and killed by a neighbor. Her family wants the woman who shot her arrested. Check that out. And that's coming out of Marion County, Florida, where Sister A.J. Owens, 35 years old, mother of 4, shot to death because of what CNN is describing as a long-time feud with a neighbor. That there was something about the children playing outside. This woman allegedly threw a pair of skates hitting the children. They went and told their mother, and our sister AJ went over and ended up dead. See, this is why you need to read the Final Call.
That's
you know
right.
why? Because this is what CNN reports. According to the shooter, there was, quote, a lot of aggressiveness from both sides. as well as threats being made, and Owens was ultimately shot through the door. How the hell, excuse my expression, is a threat being made and you in your house with the door closed holding a weapon? How threatened are you?
Right.
You tell me. See, that's why
right.
you need to get away from reading the white. You need to just get away from having so much trust in white people and how they write.
That's right.
Because this is not the first time this woman, our sister, has been involved in some kind of problem with a neighbor. It was not the first time this Asian store owner had been involved in an altercation and actual firing of a weapon. He was never arrested.
Right.
But here you are, you love to read whatever white people write. You love to have your name in their paper. You love to have their picture because somehow or another you feel as though being close to them in some way makes you more valuable. So you disrespect your own people out here working, trying to bring light, life, and power to you and warn you of an enemy you got right now in your face.
That's right. All right, brothers and sisters, we got more. Brother Nabat is on fire tonight. We on fire on WBON 1690, the Talk of Chicago. More with the Sisters Roundtable. Sisters are coming back with more information, and we'll get more about what Brother Nabat is talking about. And y'all can hit us up, 773-591-1690, WBON 1690, the Talk of Chicago. You're listening to the Straight Words radio program.
Of Chicago and the voice of the nation is 1690 WVON, Berwyn, Chicago.
Your home for 24/7 news, the Black Information Network.
A resident of the Iowa building that partially collapsed last week has filed a lawsuit against its owner, the city of Davenport, and engineers and contractors who worked on the building. Dana Feuerbach's lawsuit alleges they knew it was deteriorating but failed to inform tenants even though their lives were in danger. Since the May 28th collapse, 9 people have been rescued, and city officials say the bodies of 3 people were recovered from the rubble over the weekend. Police say all residents have now been accounted for.
A tragedy in Marion County, Florida, after a mother of 4 is gunned down following a simmering feud with a neighbor who was angry about the victim's children playing outdoors. The family of 35-year-old A.J. Owens is demanding justice in her fatal shooting by a 58-year-old white female neighbor who reportedly initiated the altercation by tossing a pair of skates that hit the children. A witness told police there had been an earlier dispute over a child's electronic tablet device, which led to Owens confronting the woman at her home where she was shot through the door. Civil rights attorney Ben Crump is representing the family.
The Atlanta City Council has approved funding for the Atlanta Public Safety Training Center. This in spite of local opposition and multiple hours of public feedback and chants that all eyes are on the city. Deputy Chief Operating Officer for the City of Atlanta, LaShondra Burks, said the city has already paid $1.4 million a year in operational fees at other facilities, and the Atlanta Police Foundation will finance the remainder, which could cost up to $90 million. Critics of the site have labeled it Cop City.
Hollywood studios could be facing both a writers' and actors' strike if nothing is resolved in a few weeks. SAG-AFTRA says that more than 97% of its members have voted in favor of authorizing a strike. 65,000 union members voted on the strike authorization in recent days, and now SAG-AFTRA is set to begin its negotiations with the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers. The vote means the union has the power to call for a strike if no new deal is reached with major studios, streamers, and production companies by the end of the month.
All right, and finally, Oklahoma City is elevating its dining status by way of African-American chef Andrew Black of Gray Sweater. The 2-time James Beard Foundation Award semifinalist has won the Best Chef Southwest Award. Black sharing the category with fellow Oklahoma City-based finalist Chef Jeff Shanshalian of Materlau Kitchen and 3 other chefs from Las Vegas and New Mexico. This marks just the second time the city has received the distinguished James Beard Foundation Award. For more on these stories and international, national, state, and local news affecting the Black community, listen to the Black Information Network on the iHeartRadio app or log on to BINnews.com. On social media, follow the BIN on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Black Information Network and on Twitter at Black Infonet. I'm Terry McCready along with Kevin Brown on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network.
Hey Alexa, play WVON 1690 AM.
Getting WVON 1690 AM station from iHeartRadio.
Try it out for yourself. America is listening to WVON.
What's up, Chicago? This is BJ Murphy.
This is Naba Richard Muhammad.
Tune in Tuesdays, 9 p.m. to 12 midnight on WVON 1690, The Talk of Chicago.
And we're streaming live on iHeartRadio and WVON.com. So again, that's Tuesday night, Central Time, 9 p.m. to midnight. It's Straight Words with Naba Richard Muhammad and
Brother BJ Murphy.
And we are black, strong, and unapologetically pro-Farrakhan.
Here's what's new on Vaughn TV in June. It's Black Music Month. Watch the moving documentary, The Wayman Tisdale Story. It's a celebration of the life and legacy of this former NBA All-Star, 3-time gold medal winner, and renowned jazz musician who died of cancer in 2009.
He was very dedicated to being a complete person. And basketball didn't engulf his whole life.
Enjoy the new documentary, Music Maestro Please, on Chicago's music legend Kalen Phil Coran. See how he inspired the music of Earth, Wind, and Fire and Shaka Khan. And in June, Vaughn TV is giving Black Muse its own category. Join Chicago's own Clarence Waldron for an entertaining music video podcast series featuring interviews with music royalty including Dionne Warwick, Will Downing, Marshall Thompson of the Shawlights, and many others. Vaughn TV is easy to watch on Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV Plus, or any of your devices at VON.TV. Vaughn TV is where Black music lives in June. June is Black Music Month, and the Talk of Chicago 1690 WVON has got you covered all month long. It's the evolution of hip-hop. That's how you celebrate hip-hop at 50 and WVON at 60. The Talk of Chicago 1690 WVON is celebrating Black Music Month with the evolution of hip-hop. 50 years of hip-hop. This week we're celebrating the 80s. And today's featured artist, LL Cool J.
Please welcome LL Cool J.
No one epitomizes the mass appeal of hip-hop better than Queens, New York-born Todd Smith, a.k.a. LL Cool J. This muscle-bound, lip-licking, Kango hat-wearing rapping machine blasted on the scene in 1985 with a simple track on the Crush Groove soundtrack called I Can't Live Without My Radio. But it was his 1987 album, Bigger and Deffer, which included his mega hits, I'm Bad and I Need Love, that would make him a bona fide superstar.
When I'm alone in my room, sometimes I stare at the wall, and in the back of my mind, I hear my conscience call, telling me I need a girl who's as sweet as a dove. For the first time in my life, I see I need love.
LL is a leading actor, a multi-million album seller, a 2-time Grammy winner, and one of the most successful hip-hop artists of all time. If you want to see why he's one of the best to ever do it, check out his 2021 induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You'll see why the ladies love Cool J, and so do music fans all over the world.
We are artists too. We love you. Thank you. God bless. Mama, I made it!
June is Pride Month, and 1690 WVON supports the LGBTQ community. You're out, you're proud. We are the Talk of Chicago. 1690 WVON. From the Xfinity Studios at WVON, we are the Talk of Chicago. 1690 WVON.
VON 90, the Talk of Chicago. It's Straight Words with Brother Naba Richard Muhammad. I'm Brother BJ Murphy. We've got one voice missing tonight, Brother James G. Muhammad. He'll be back with us on next week. And brothers and sisters, tonight has been fire. Y'all can hit us up at 773-591-1690. And, you know, this program is listener supported, and we love to get the support from the brothers and sisters who appreciate the information that we're throwing out 5 weeks straight now. And you can hit us up if you want to support us and show us that you are with us. Hit us up on our Cash App. You can make any donation, large or small, whatever's on your heart. $ straight words on Cash App. That's $ straight words on Cash App. If you got Zelle, you can hit us up at this number, 312-480-9775. That's 312-480-9775. And on PayPal, straight words, 4 at gmail.com. That's straight words, 4 at gmail.com on PayPal to support us. Coming up, brothers and sisters, we're going to get to an interview with Bianca Dickerson Williams, who's from the city of Chicago. She's an L.A. mother who suffered a catastrophic, life-altering injury at the UCLA Medical Center. And we're talking about the maternity crisis. And, of course, there was a great piece on the Final Call newspaper about this, about our sisters. And these are not sisters, that are, I guess you would say, when you talk about this situation, the poor, from the poor side of the sister spectrum, whatever, these are well-to-do sisters that are having these issues, as well as underprivileged brothers and sisters who don't have the means to have proper medical care. So we're going to talk about that coming up on the Straight Words radio program. We're back to Brother Naba now. We got the Sisters Roundtable, which I love. So y'all go ahead and get back into that thing.
Thank you, Brother BJ. I want to say a couple things real quick. Then we're going to take Ronald, and then we're going to keep going. We're going to run this segment, Brother BJ, I think until about 11:30. And then at 11:30, then we can go to the interview. That'll give us about 5 minutes to close out, right? If we roll on time. I just wanted to say this, brothers and sisters. Look, your sister was married to this dude, right? He would work all week, come home with no money because he went to the riverboat and gambled the money away. Not only that, but he would come home drunk and he would beat her from the front door of the living room all the way out into the backyard until the people had to call the police. He refused to take care of the children, would beat the children as well. And you kept telling your sister, leave that man alone, leave that man alone, leave that man alone. People in violent, abusive domestic relationships, what do we tell them to do? Separate from that man, leave that man, divorce that man, or woman, if the case may be. Why is it so hard for us to understand? When you look at Chinatown, that's separate, but you don't see that as a bad thing. When you look at Little Italy, that's separate, but you don't see that as a bad thing. When you look at Ukrainian Village, that's separate, but you don't see that as a bad thing. You see these as ethnic enclaves or communities where people live together in peace because they share certain culture, knowledge, understanding, and love for one another. And that becomes the center or the foundation on which they build. Nobody's trying to teach you to hate nobody. Because if you don't hate what's been done to you already and hate somebody that would do that to you, deprive you, oppress you, shoot a 13, 14-year-old boy in the back because he suspected he took a bottle of water, if you don't hate that, nothing I can say can make you hate anybody. Why don't you think about loving yourself? Let's go to Brother Ronald on line 1. Brother Ronald, welcome to Straight Words.
Yes, sir. Salam alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, sir.
Yes, brother Richard. You hit it right on the button, brother. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad put it so plainly. Say, come to your own
Say that again.
and be yourself.
Go ahead.
You know, I was talking to a couple of brothers, picking up my papers today, and we don't have a in-depth vision or understanding of the teachers. Jesus said, love God with all your mind, heart, and soul and spirit. And the other law was to love your neighbor as you love yourself. And he says on these two hang the balance of the gospel, right? Well, the messenger, the love God. Well, if we're taught that the black man and woman is God, and we have to understand that and begin to readily accept that. I see you every day.
Hey, Brother Ronald, do me a favor. Turn your, if there's a radio or something near you, turn it down. We're getting feedback. Or move, away from it, or just move away from it in another area.
Yeah, I'm probably a little too close.
Yeah.
Is that better?
That's a little better. Yeah, move a little more. I want to make sure we get every word that you're saying. Okay.
That's good.
That's good. Go right ahead. Thank you.
Yeah, and so if we're to love God with all our mind, heart, soul, and spirit, and I'm looking at you the black man. That's the God. See, we know the supreme being is a God, but you and I are God. And so when I see you and I share that, when I see you like that, then that begins. So that begins the unity. And then the second part of the law, love your neighbor, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, the neighbor would be communities, right, that are not immediately with us, but to love God first. So we're taught, you know, boy, if you don't have love of self, you don't love nobody.
Go ahead, man.
That's right.
See, so we have to understand that that's just not the self you look at in the mirror. It's the greater self. It's the greater self. When I'm looking at you, hey, when I see, you say every time I see the black man and woman, I'm looking at God.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, Brother Ron.
So that I'll leave it right there, brother. But I love the show. And you're right. The content and the final call is, brother, it's superb.
That's right.
Yeah, we got it.
It is superb.
We got to take our hats off to our sister, the managing editor, Starla Muhammad, who's responsible for this fine work that you've been seeing for some time
That's right.
now.
Go ahead.
So hats off to the sister. Thank you, Brother Ronald. Sister Starla, you want to weigh in on any aspect of this conversation? Then after you make your point, Lenny, we're going to come to you, so hold on for a minute.
Yes, sir, Brother Naba. You know, inshallah, God willing, this week we will be looking at this tragic case out of Florida involving our sister G.K. Owens. And I think one of the things, Brother Naba, that really stands out to me, not only what you said with regard to, the media spin that often accompanies these cases, but from preliminary reports that I've seen as well, is not only that this white neighbor threw the skates, allegedly threw the skates at our sister's child, but also shouted or said some racial epithets.
That's right.
To the youngster.
You're right.
And one of the things is, I'm kind of curious. You know, they have not released. They not only have not arrested this person, but they haven't even released the person's name. And in this case in Columbia, South Carolina, with our young brother Cyrus, the store owner was not arrested immediately. And even though now there's been an arrest and he has been charged, there are still demands for, well, what about the store owner's son, who also chased young Cyrus? And so there are calls down there, well, wait a minute, should not he be charged or looked at as some sort of accessory to what happened? And so just another example, Brother Naba, of, you know, the double standard, because we all know, and I think it goes without saying, that if the tables were turned and the situation reversed, if it's a black person who is, quote unquote, claiming stand your ground, their face is still going to be more than likely plastered all over the news and the TV, and there's not going to be much sympathy for that individual. So just again, you know, just reiterating, like we stated earlier, this mask of civility that's peeling away like an onion, like the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has been warning us, and that unless we separate, unless we unify and come together to make things better for our people and our communities, we're going to continue to see things like this happen in our communities.
Absolutely. Let's go.
Assalamu alaikum.
Go ahead, Sister Naima. Go ahead.
Yes, before we take the next call, a thought that I'd like to throw out there, because one of the reasons why we inject a different point of view is so that we remove the idea that other people who are twisting the information in such a way that always makes us appear to be in the wrong. We have to give credence to our own voices and make a decision not to rely on other news sources.
Say that again.
We have to make a decision not to rely on other news sources. At this point, with the internet, there's an equal playing field. Everybody has every access to everybody. So there is no major media and minority media. We're all global media, and we have to claim it. So everything that any publication can do, the Final Call can do, and every publication that's speaking truth has the same access to the world community. So we got to claim it. We are major media, and we got to speak it and make it so, and make our voice be the voice that everybody listens to, because we're the ones that speak in truth. And we have to claim it and make sure that we don't give power to those who are telling untruths by repeating their untruths.
That's right. Say that again.
That's it.
So we know when we see these injustices, and I'm so glad that our brother, Attorney Benjamin Crump is on the case, because his name now strikes fear in those who are the enemies of justice, because he is able to win these cases, and he is changing the face of justice. And so we have to claim these victories when we have them, so that we're not in despair. We're winning. And we have to speak as winners, because we're on the right side. We're on God's side, and God always wins. So no matter how long the battle may be, we are winning, and we cannot lose, because we're on the winning side. And there's only one winning side, and that is God's side.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Beautiful, sister. Let's go to Lenny on line 2.
Hi, how's it going? I'd like to ask the audience, if I may, how are we going to be equal if we're identifying as the opposite? Black means the opposite of white. We're Nubians. They're Caucasians. And that's the whole thing. Is, if you really look at it, we're putting ourselves out in the street, more or less. I'd like for someone to answer that question. Nubian versus black. I prefer Nubian.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lenny. I'll take that first of all. One, brother, we can call ourselves many different things, but we existed before Nubia. We existed before the Nubians who ruled Egypt. We existed before the original pyramids, which you find in Sudan. We are the original people of the planet, so no matter what we call ourselves, we are the original people of the planet. We have no birth record. We have no end and no beginning. No one knows how long we've been here because there was no one present in the origination of the creation to record the time.
That's right.
And since the God force, if you will, that was twirling as an atom in darkness, he took his color from that which he was a part of. So the Holy Quran talks about a man from black mud fashioned into shape. So black and white absolutely is necessary because you need a sharp distinction and a sharp duality. We can be equal. Isn't the night equal to the day? Don't you do certain things at night? You do other things during the day? And isn't that balance in night and day what makes you a healthy whole person?
That's right. Teach.
The other thing is, as somebody pointed out, it might have been Sister Starla, that black is not limited, national. Black is universal. It is the essence of color. It is that from which all color comes. So we got about 5 minutes. Sister Naima, why don't you take 2.5 to close, and Sister Starla, you take 2.5. How about that? I hope I didn't talk too much tonight. But thank you both for being on.
Well, in regards to who we are the sons and daughters of God. We are the expressions of the divine, having this temporary experience in the flesh. We are eternal beings. So we never need to argue over what to call ourselves because it just depends on which part in our history we want to refer to. But we have been and always shall be. We are ever existing. And we are here on a mission to transform this earth upon which we live using our gifts, talents, and skills. And we are being assisted by the Most High and all the forces of the universe. So let us never despair. Everything that happens is a lesson for us, and it's to remind us of our mission to transform this world and make it a new world. That's why we're here.
Beautiful.
All right.
Beautiful.
Sister Editor Starla, go right ahead.
Yes, sir. As always, I just want to thank you, Brother Naba. Thank you, Brother BJ, for extending the invitation to be on Straight Words. It is an honor. It is a privilege. And, of course, being on this evening once again with my sister, Sister Naima Latif. Much respect to you, my dear sister. And I just want to once again encourage the listening audience. Make sure you visit www.finalcall.com and take out a digital edition, a subscription to the paper, but not only a digital edition. When you see the Brothers of the Fruit of Islam in whatever city that you may reside, make sure you pick up a hard copy of the paper as well. And don't just pick up one for yourself, pick up a couple for family members or friends. Like Brother Naba mentioned at the top of the show, this week's cover story, Hip Hop at 50. So we not only examine this art form, we of course have the story of what happened to our young brother in Columbia, South Carolina, as well as other national and international stories that you will find interesting, compelling, and important. So brothers and sisters, may Allah God continue to bless you. Brother Naba, Brother BJ, as always, much love and respect to my brothers. And inshallah, I look forward to being on again soon.
Very good.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Sister Naima, give us your web address and how we can follow you. I don't think we got that.
That's www.onaireverywhere.com. And go to us every day for daily news and views and information you can use. www.onaireverywhere.com.
On air everywhere.
Everywhere.com.
That's the universal black woman right there, Brother BJ. We got two of them with us. Sisters, thank you for bearing with us. Thank you for putting up with me. I think we've done it again. And I really want you to know that I appreciate and I respect all that you do. And by Allah's grace, we'll be calling on you again soon. Thank you very much. Brother BJ, we got that feature ready to run, or what we waiting on?
Yes, sir. Yeah, so we're ready for that. We're going to talk about racism in the healthcare industry. Bianca Dickerson Williams, we're going to hear her story, her horrific story, as she was trying to have her second child at UCLA Medical Center. So we're going to roll that right now on WVON.
On the line, everybody, we have Bianca Dickerson Williams, and her documentary is talking about why are moms of color at risk in the delivery room. And we've been seeing this so prevalent in the news, and I don't think people are aware of what's happening to black women in the delivery room. How you doing today, Bianca?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you so much for having me, BJ. I'm very excited to talk to you all about this pressing issue in the United States.
Yes, and I was looking forward to speaking with you because I want to know, and we want Black America to know what happened to you at UCLA Medical Center during the delivery of your second child.
Sure. So I went into the hospital at 40 weeks, and I've had no complications, no medical history in terms of pre-existing conditions. And when I arrived, I was immediately given an epidural. And I had been in the hospital for numerous hours, and the night nurse noticed that the Pitocin valve had been improperly turned on. And for your listeners that may not know, Pitocin is the drug that is used to induce labor for a mother and cause contractions. And the nurse said, hey, I'm going to reach out to the doctor and see how she wants to handle this situation. The nurse came back and said, we're going to proceed with the birth as is. And my Pitocin was increased. And the next thing I know, it's like, okay, we're ready to have a baby. Eventually, the doctor showed up. She was not there when all of these events were transpiring. When she finally showed up, she instructed me to get my legs into the birthing position. And I explained to her that I was unable to do so because I was numb completely from the waist down. So she instructed the nurse to get my legs into the position. She did. And when I pushed the second time, the nurse inadvertently looked away and let go of my leg. And I didn't feel anything. And again, I'm under this epidural. I didn't feel anything. And I think that most people, especially, individuals that are not medically trained, they're not thinking very much of it. So my leg dropped, you put it back in position.
Yeah, Bianca, so why did she do that? Did she explain what was going on at that time?
There were no stirrups on the bed, and I believe that they were in a frenzy and in a hurry, and they were not prepared for the birthing process. Wow. And I think that that's where, all of this goes south. And a lot of the things that I've alleged in my complaint for my lawsuit really go into details in regards to what was actually occurring in the room. My husband and I were even taking pictures of everything that's happening in the room. And lo and behold, what winded up occurring was the leg drop caused severe catastrophic neurological damage to my lower extremities, in my pelvis, my legs. And it took me 3 years, BJ, to uncover all of this because we believe and we allege in our complaint that the hospital was covering up everything that had occurred. We also allege that they altered our medical records.
Wow.
And I was within the UCLA system for 6 months. And during that 6-month period, I was not able to get an image or a blood test of any kind. I was asking the doctor, hey, can we get an MRI? I'm having stabbing sensations in my lower extremities. I truly believe that something is off. And no one listened to me. And I believe that there's this notion that Black women, brown women, we can take more pain than other racial groups.
So that's a classic example of implicit bias in the medical field when it concerns us. Like they don't feel like we're invincible to pain, and so they can keep going and we're complaining and telling them, look, I'm in pain, I need help. And I know that epidural is very important in childbirth.
It helps to alleviate pain, but the downside is while it's helping to alleviate pain, you also lose feeling and sensation. And had feeling and sensation, I would have been able to protect myself from the injuries that I had sustained. Nonetheless, it took me 3 years to finally begin to get some diagnoses and understanding around the extent of my injuries because I really wasn't getting better. I wound up having to have multiple surgeries. And even with those corrective surgeries, I will still have lifelong treatment that will be necessary for me. And a part of the reason why I've been going out and sharing my story with the world is I want to prevent this from happening to someone else. Because very often, and this is also with Black men, you know, we're often challenged by our complaints or what we feel that we're experiencing. And it is racism, it is stereotypes, and it is bias. And in order to break those stereotypes and those biases, we have to start having the conversation.
So Bianca, talk about how the hospitals worked in concert to falsify your medical records, because you traveled around the country.
You know, it's one of those things, the way that I would, you know, describe it and how I would compare it is to the same way in which a police report is written by a police officer. Every time a traffic stop is made or an altercation happens, even in a domestic situation, a police officer is required to pull out a sheet of paper and document what happened, okay? Yeah. However, the person that's involved in the situation, they have no say-so on what's being written, and sometimes they don't even receive a copy of what is being written. A medical report, a doctor's consultation operates the same way, and that's why it's very scary, because they're in control of the narrative. So if they say, this is what happened when you were in my medical office, or this is what happened when I pulled you over, think about that for a second. Yeah. If you're the narrator of this entire story, so it's the same thing. It's the same systemic racism that we see in other institutions, whether they be the healthcare system, the police system, or even the legal system. You know, when you walk into a room, the first thing that someone sees is your skin color. And whether we want to acknowledge it or not, we all, when we see a particular person of a particular skin color, we will all have some sort of preconceived notion about that individual, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent.
What do you think now that you have that experience? What do you think Black women and brown women should be doing with childbirth?
You know, I appreciate you asking me that because that is one of the big items on the table that everyone is discussing. And I believe going forward, if I were to have a child again, or if I was to advise someone on what type of pregnancy measures they should take or what they should actually do, I would actually encourage you to look into midwives as well as doulas. And that is considered to be something that we did ages ago. And we got away from that, and we got more into giving birth at hospitals with tons of machines. And the reality is, if you are a Black woman, I would discourage you from even entering a hospital unless you had a doula with you.
Wow.
Because that's your advocate. And sometimes people struggle to advocate for themselves. And the reason is, we've been trained to think that doctors are smarter than us and that doctors know more than we do.
Right.
And that's not true. You know your body better than anybody. And if we start endorsing that and believing that, we will have the confidence to advocate, you know, for ourselves. But it's interesting, BJ, because I was having this conversation with my father, and my father's mother gave birth to 12 children. 12. And my dad looked in my face and said, she never had one issue. She was giving birth at home with midwives and doulas. And he also said, you know, 40, 50 years ago, you didn't even hear about women having postpartum depression. It wasn't even a thing.
Bianca, you just made me think of something, because on my mother's side, they had 11 children. On my father's side, they had 10 children. So Bianca, when did we have all these problems with Black women and brown women having these problems with childbirth in the delivery room?
I truly do believe that as technology and medicine has advanced in the United States, westernized culture, our culture, I believe, is to blame. You know, in other countries where they truly view giving birth as a natural process, something that God intended, it is treated as such and it's handled as such. And I think here in the United States, we've gotten away from that. And we want to bring in technology and bring in physicians. And I've been reading lots of literature on where a lot of these stereotypes arose. And BJ, the truth of the matter is a lot of them arose during slavery. And we were the guinea pigs. We were the guinea pigs doctors to perform stitching, to assess whether or not a particular treatment would be useful or not. And that's where a lot of that started in terms of, well, a Black woman can take more pain than anybody. And if you think about it, if we go back to, let's say, 1860, right before the slavery was abolished, you will see and you will read literature that we went from having midwives and doulas to having white men say, oh, this is profitable. I actually want to get in on this. And they then start becoming the treaters of the birthing process versus a midwife or a doula. It was a business. Wow. It was a profitable. And we were the guinea pigs, and I still believe today that we're the guinea pigs. You know, even when you look at COVID and the vaccinations and certain communities and things of that nature, again, the data is very similar. You know, we had more deaths in your Black and brown communities from COVID. And the same thing is happening with regards to maternal health. Black women are dying 3 to 4 times more likely to die and be injured in childbirth than any other race in the United States. Those are statistics from the Center for Disease Control.
I'm looking at one right now, Bianca. It's Black women make up most of those deaths at 69.9% compared to their white counterparts at 26.65%.
And what made me almost pass out, I was reading that a white woman with a GED will have a better experience, a better outcome, and be treated better than a Black woman with an advanced degree. And I tell you, BJ, everything about me on paper reads as if this should not have happened to me.
Yes.
The only thing that exists is my skin tone. I was highly educated. I have a Juris Doctorate degree. I was at one of the best hospitals in the United States. I had top-of-the-line healthcare insurance. I had a Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO, and I was doing financially well. So on paper, I should not have fallen into that statistical category, but I did. And the only reason that I've been able to come up with, as I've been in this, journey, is the color of my face. Imagine what it's like for a 21-year-old Black woman who has maybe 1 year of college, and she's trying to advocate for herself, and she's being treated like she is, a second-class citizen, and that is the treatment.
Wow. I mean, this is just fascinating to me. It's really eye-opening that we're beginning to hear more and more about, what's going on with childbirth with Black women and brown women. It's like nobody really cares, right?
I think what it is that we have been trained as a society, all races, that doctors should be believed. They're like Jesus, and everything that they say is truthful, and that their intention is to take care of us and do good to us. But the reality of it is, I need you to remember that you could be a KKK member, and walk into a medical office with a white coat on, and nobody actually know who you're affiliated with. When you think about the Proud Boys, right? They have jobs. They have jobs, BJ.
Yeah.
They could be making your sandwich at Subway.
Do you think that they're doing something to us while we're pregnant when we go for these prenatal exams? Do you think something is being done to us?
You know what, BJ? I think it's a really good question. And I think that what is happening is that when we complain about anything, we're not believed. And I believe that when they look into anything that we're complaining about, their go-to is narcotics instead of truly investigating and looking at our symptoms. And I also think that we are the guinea pigs for medicine. We're trying to figure out if the COVID vaccine is going to kill somebody. Well, let's try it on this person. I know so many people who told me I went to the hospital for COVID and they sent me home because they told me that they didn't have enough beds. And then I would talk to my neighbor who's white and then find out that they got a bed.
Wow.
And again, it's a lot to process, BJ, because as humans, as humans, we're not thinking that a healthcare provider, because they're like Santa Claus, we're not thinking that they are capable of giving us a bed or giving us a particular type of treatment, based on our race. But it's true. It's happening. The data is there. This is supported by statistical data. And unfortunately, everything that you see happening with Black men with police is the exact same thing that's happening with Black women in the delivery room. And it took a while, I think, for people to accept the fact that doctors are racist too. Okay?
Yeah.
Just because you're a doctor doesn't mean that you're not racist.
You know what? When you're talking, I'm listening to you. It's like we're innocent lambs, and we're being ushered into these hospitals, and wolves are our caretakers.
Yes. And think about it this way, BJ. Imagine this. You hear about Africa being a third world country. You hear about all these third world countries. They have no medicine. They don't have technology. They don't have the best doctors. But yet they have safe pregnancies. God intended for us to give birth. And when my dad looked me in my face and he says, my mother had 12 children and she was giving birth in the 40s and 50s and never had an issue. That's because we were still using doulas. All this technology wasn't being used. We were not being ushered into hospital. People were giving birth at home. At home with their mother to them, in their bathtub with their mother next to them. That's how we gave birth in the 40s and the 50s.
We don't even think that's possible now,
We don't. We absolutely, but think of it this way. How many times have you heard people say, we want to give you this drug and, the FDA is behind it and this large pharmaceutical company is behind it. And then someone else say, you know what, I used herbs and spices and I feel so much better. We've gotten away from using natural remedies to solve our problems, and we're going straight to pharmaceutical companies to do things that we were able to do.
Right.
I have spent the majority of my career in electronic evidence discovery. So when you ask me how did I, what's the deal with the altered records, that's how I was able to figure out that they had altered my records. You have to get different copies at different times and you start comparing them. And it happens far more frequently than people realize it. Most people, BJ, don't even have their medical records, yet alone can notice if changes have been made to them. It's just a police report.
When you went to Capitol Hill and you were so eloquent in making your case, did anybody in the legislative body say, can I talk to you over here for a minute? And I want to help you get your story out. Did anybody try to endear themselves to you?
Okay, so that's an amazing question, BJ. It's kind of like a yes and a no. The reality of it is you're one of a gazillion women that this is now happening to. And I essentially began to buy my way into Congress. So I began working with a lobbyist.
Okay.
And the lobbyist would say, hey, Bianca, I'm going to invite you to certain things so you can rub elbows with these people. Well, that costs money to have a lobbyist. People don't realize that. When you have a lobbyist, you're paying them to lobby for you to Congress. Well, guess what? Who the hell has the money to pay a lobbyist?
Right. So how much money? How much money are you talking about? You're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars, I would assume.
Yes, BJ, yes. I have spent just on my trial $600,000. That's not normal, BJ. That's not normal.
Wow.
That is not normal.
Right.
And that is the point I'm trying to make here. When you look at somebody like me that stereotypically does not fit into that box, how then do you explain this? I wasn't prohibited by money. I had money.
Yeah.
I wasn't prohibited by bad health insurance. I had phenomenal health insurance.
Right.
I wasn't prohibited by not being able to articulate my symptoms. I have a doctorate degree myself, just like the physicians do.
Wow.
So how do we then, once you have all that in your face, how do we explain this other than my black skin? Because that's the only thing that's present, BJ. That's it. I don't know if you heard about Judge Hatchett. She's a famous African-American judge.
Yes.
Her daughter died at Cedars-Sinai Hospital. Her credentials look very similar to mine. This is happening to educated black women.
Wow. I mean,
this is not the kids that are in the projects that are 16 years old and fall into that stereotype. And, you know, it's funny. My father said to me, well, they want to kill off the smarter generation. You are educated women giving birth to, guess what? Educated kids. You're going to educate your kids if you're educated.
I think he's on to something. I think we should not dismiss what he's saying. I mean,
it's frightening.
Yeah, this is the time to tell the truth regardless of the circumstances, because I have a 16-year-old niece that's about to give birth, and she's in a correctional facility. And what talk to me.
You know what? You just hit a nerve. And the reason is my cousin was incarcerated when she gave birth, and she was chained. She was handcuffed to bed, and she had a better outcome than me.
Oh, my God.
Did you think about that for a second?
Wow.
And kind of go back to, we're okay with the black women that we deem are as messing up or just going to be a problem for society. We'll make sure that you have a safe pregnancy. But you educated women, oh hell no! You are not about to reproduce more educated black people.
Okay,
no.
So Bianca, let me ask you this. So Bianca, is this a trend? Are the I want to say majority, but is a big percentage of the cases with women of your stature in the black community?
Yes.
Oh, correct. No.
Yes. 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 That's why they started looking at levels of education in comparison to white women. That's how they figured out white women with GEDs have better outcomes than black women with advanced degrees. So you're telling me that if my skin is white and I just graduated from the 12th grade, that you're going to have a better outcome than me. I'm more educated. I have more, influence and affluence or whatever word you want to use, but I'm more likely to die because of my skin tone. Yeah, that's the answer. And I hear you. With a 16-year-old niece that is getting ready to give birth, she's going to be just fine, DJ. I promise you.
I hope so. But this should frighten all of us. Yes.
I want you to share my story with her, because she needs to have someone in the room with her that has nothing to do with that hospital. If you can find a doula before she gives birth, that would be best. They're not expensive at all. Some of them do it for free. And you can go to your local Black maternal health nonprofit organizations in your local community, and they'll supply you with one. A lot of them will give you one for free. You have to have an advocate in the room. And because she's young, that's what the doctors are going to see. Not only is she black, she's young. So in my mind, she really doesn't know anything.
Does the average black woman listening to what you just said even consider having a doula?
Nowadays, no. But I think that in light of everything that's being talked about around this issue, because Serena Williams has talked about this. Allison Felix, the Olympic track star, has talked about this. They both had horrific birthing experiences, and Serena Williams blatantly said, it wasn't until my white husband showed up and demanded that they check me for a blood clot that I actually got service from them. So in that moment, I'm no longer famous Serena Williams. I was a black girl again, just a black girl.
Wow.
A little chocolate black girl laying in the bed. It wasn't until her white husband showed up that she began to receive proper care.
Wow.
And she's famous. Beyonce has talked about it. So many celebrity women have discussed traumatic experiences in the birthing room, and they have all said, if I wasn't famous, they would have killed me.
Wow. Oh, my God, Bianca. This is, oh, boy. Please, God, help us. Help us get this information out to our sisters.
It's sad, and I look forward to following up with you, because I am going to D.C. next week, to have more conversations around this. I'm a part of a caucus. It's called the Mamas Caucus. And Cory Booker is a part of it. Other African-American congresswomen are a part of it that have been looking to change the narrative around Black maternal health. But yeah, BJ, they're killing us just like they kill Black men in the streets. Wow. And it's personal, because I come from a law enforcement family. I grew up in a law enforcement family, and it's a system. Just like the police system, the hospital is a system, and we don't realize that it's a system. We walk in thinking that it's a church.
But they're gonna take good care of me, because that's not.
Yes. No, it's not a church, y'all. It's a slaughterhouse. It's slavery. Come in and be my guinea pig, and if you die, so be it.
Wow.
You know, and you wouldn't know about Judge Hatchett's daughter, you know, dying at Cedars-Sinai had she not been famous and had connections.
My God. Why are moms of color at risk in the delivery room? Bianca Dickerson Williams is on the show. And give out that contact information one more time and how we can get the documentary. When watch that. You need to have a documentary watch party with a bunch of sisters watching this.
Right. It's on YouTube, Black Moms at Risk, as well as Flores Dickerson on Instagram. But if you go to YouTube and you simply type in Black Moms at Risk, the dark secret of the U.S. health system with my name, Bianca Dickerson Williams, it'll pop up for you. And the name of the nonprofit is Fighting Our Injustices for Women of Color, and that's launching on a website next week as well.
You're listening to WVON Straight Words with BJ Murphy, my man, Brother Richard Naba Muhammad. And Brother Naba, that's what's going on with our sisters, brother.
Wow, powerful interview, brother. I mean, very good information. And hopefully we will be able to repost the show. So bear with us. You should be able to watch this again tomorrow on the WVON Facebook page. So look for that. But powerful,
yes, sir.
powerful reporting, brother. Thank you for that.
Thank you, brother. So, Brother Naba, we almost at the end of this show. I missed you not being in the studio, but I told you we had the Holy Spirit going on. And I knew this was going to be a hot show.
Yeah.
From Brother Ilya to the round table and all the other information and the callers, everybody calling in. And this is a powerful show. It's a juggernaut in black media. And we have the editor of the Final Call newspaper with you, Brother Richard, the managing editor, with our sister Starla, of course, James G., one of the founding editors of the Final Call newspaper. He's not here. He'll be with us next week. But people need to support this radio show. If you love the information that you've been receiving, Brother Naba, tell them how important it is to support Straight Words.
You know, brothers and sisters, look, you cannot depend on others to do that which we must do for ourselves. And if we say that information is power, why would your enemy or somebody who profits from you and your ignorance or your lack of awareness, your lack of consciousness, why would they enlighten you when keeping you in the dark is in their self-interest, right? So to support independent black media, and you know when we can say we're pro-Farrakhan, we are absolutely independent. I don't know nobody else who even got that slogan, especially on terrestrial radio. But look,
that's right.
Support us at Cash App, $ Straight Words with an S, $ Straight Words. That's on Cash App. You can do Zelle, 312-480-9775, 312-480-9775. You can do PayPal, straightwords4@gmail.com. Straight Words and the number 4. Straight Words with an S, 4@gmail.com. Send us something, brothers and sisters. This is how we build media. This is how we build power. This is how we free ourselves. This is how we free the minds of black folk and any fair-minded person that wants to listen and accept the truth. You know, this doesn't come out of nowhere. This is not cable access TV or cable access radio. We pay for these microphones. But to pay for a microphone means you are empowered. So your payment, you're helping us pay, empowers you. You become a stakeholder. We become accountable to you. We serve you. We're going to do that anyway. But look, come on, man. Let's support. $ Straight Words if you feel that we have content worth supporting. And I think just with Brother Ilya alone and the sisters from the Black Press Roundtable, and you just had this marvelous interview about educated black women and their struggle almost being at death's door during delivery, man, of our babies.
Right,
Where
right.
else can you get all of that in 3 hours? So
Come on,
$ straight words. That's Cash App. $ straight words with an S. Zelle 312-480-9775. 312-480-9775. And straightwords4@gmail.com if you're using PayPal. Straightwords and the number 4@gmail.com. Now, we're not just looking for contributors, but we do want that. I got a little group of Farrakhan defenders. I want y'all to join that group.
That's right.
But we're also
That's
looking
right.
for sponsors. We're looking for partners. You got products, you got goods, you got services. Reach out to me at 312-480-9775, and let's talk. Or if you know Brother BJ, reach out to him, and let's talk, and
That's
let's
right.
see what we can do together.
You can call me. My number is 704-905-2535, and we would love to talk to you, brothers and sisters. It means so much every Tuesday to be doing this show with you, Brother Nabar, and all the callers that call in. And I'm so glad that your voice, like tonight, you was on fire, man, for your people. This man loves black people. He's been a defender, a fierce defender of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and he deserves our support to help the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan continue the mission to resurrect our people from the dead. Brothers and sisters, thank y'all for listening to WVON 1690, celebrating 60 years of giving you premium black content. We'll be back next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Central right here on WVON 1690. Peace, y'all.
The talk of Chicago and the voice of the nation is 1690 WVON, Berwyn, Chicago.
Hey, Alexa, play WVON 1690 AM.
Getting WVON 1690 AM station from iHeartRadio.
Try it out for yourself. America is listening to WVON. June is Black Music Month, and the Talk of Chicago 1690 WVON has got you covered all month long. It's the evolution of hip-hop. That's how you celebrate hip-hop at 50 and WVON at 60. The Talk of Chicago 1690 WVON is celebrating Black Music Month with the evolution of hip-hop. 50 years of hip-hop. This week we're celebrating the 80s. And today's featured artist, LL Cool J.
Please welcome LL Cool J.
No one epitomizes the mass appeal of hip-hop better than Queens, New York-born Ty Smith, a.k.a. LL Cool J. This muscle-bound, lip-licking, Kango hat-wearing rapping machine blasted on the scene in 1985 with a simple track on the Crush Groove soundtrack called I Can't Live Without My Radio. But it was his 1987 album, Bigger and Deffer, which included his mega hits, I'm Bad and